A legend of 1990s rock music and really of all time. Chris Cornell has passed away, sadly, a singer-songwriter for several bands, including most famously Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, which featured every member of Pearl Jam aside from Eddie Vedder, except on a song, and also Audio Slave. He's done some solo works and some other collaborations. Chris Cornell might have been the most talented of grunge era rockers when you combine singing, songwriting, guitar playing. He was up there at the top in terms of raw talent. His death, kind of just a real tragic, despite the unbelievably great generation changing music. His death kind of follows other tragedies. Andy Wood, his roommate, who was a lead singer with some guys in Pearl Jam in the late 80s and 90s, a band they called Mother Love Bone. And Andy Wood and Chris Cornell were roommates, and Andy Wood overdosed on heroin there, I think in the late 80s, early 90s there, before Pearl Jam officially got together. Kurt Cobain, world famous singer, songwriter, Nirvana, committed suicide in the spring of 1994. Lane Staley, Alice in Chains, another heroin takes another rock legend. Scott Weiland, singer for Stone Temple Pilots, died on his tour bus for another band he was in about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And now we lose Chris Cornell. That is just an astonishing list of people to lose when a lot of these guys weren't that old when they died, and even Cornell, I think, was about 52. So certainly had a lot of years left, and was even, if you don't know, he was even on tour with Soundgarden and had played that night. So tragic situation. I think it's okay to be sad. You know, if a rock star, maybe a famous athlete or actor dies. I was thinking, when this happened, that in 1996, I was a freshman in high school, and Soundgarden's album had came out, Down on the Upside. And I remember that was one of the first albums I had gotten into. I was a 14-year-old kid and kind of really starting to get into music. And I remember I listened to that album all the time. And about a year ago, I remember putting that album on, and I just thought to myself, like, oh, well, that's crazy that, music that when I was 14 years old and when I'm 35, I still enjoy. So music kind of has that way, kind of almost a self-identifying way. You kind of can get in touch with yourself. So I think when, you lose someone who, you really care about musically, it's okay to be sad. And it's okay to mourn that loss of somebody that you admire, whether it's musically or just the talent they have, because a little part of you probably went away as well. But enough sadness, and on to our sports card topics of the day. We have an exclusive, some letters that Brian Gray, the owner of Leaf Trading Cards, sent to Upper Deck to try to quell some of the hockey card exclusives, not only at the league level, but the player level as well. We have those letters. We'll talk about them. We'll probably read them. Also had a conversation with Brian Gray about a week and a half ago, maybe. We talked for like 30 minutes. He's probably the most interesting person in the entire hobby that I can think of off the top of my head, for sure. We'll talk about, Panini America is just, I don't know how some people over there have not lost their jobs. We'll talk about a specific instance that is just astonishing, how few cards they're able to sell, even when they get maximum exposure. Some lighter topics, I finished up I have a website, Find a Card Show. I have an employee now. She actually got through about another 60 shows that I needed updating dates. She was able to get through that in about a week, and that website, and actually redesigned it a little bit so that it looks hopefully somewhat decent on a mobile device and a desktop application. So I'll plug that for a couple minutes. I thought of an idea. Or I saw, actually, when I was doing some of the stuff on the card show site, I saw a card shop that I thought had a good idea, or it was an interesting, a little different idea maybe than that's out there. So I'll talk about that. Maybe a little touch on some things I saw about authenticity and some other niches. And we'll last couple of minutes, we'll talk about Lavar Ball and hopefully the return to glory of the Los Angeles Lakers. And for the ticket brokers out there, huge news coming out of the NFL in terms of ticketing. I'm still digesting it all personally, but we'll talk about that. Absolutely earth-shattering news coming out of NFL ticketing world that could either make your host probably a lot of money or more money than he makes now, or it actually could go the other way and it could be a game killer. So we'll see about that. We'll talk about that, talk through that a little bit. Help me actually to just talk through that out in the open by myself to gain some clarity there. So one of the best kind of battles going on right now in the sports card business industry, really taking place kind of behind the scenes, is Leaf trading cards versus Upper Deck. And a lot of collectors and even people who cover the hobby or really interested in the hobby, they maybe don't really care about this because it's hockey. A lot of people gloss over that, think it's kind of a Canadian thing. I've gotten really into hockey cards because of Upper Deck EPAC, and I have over 6,000 cards on there, and I even bought a couple boxes on there today. They just released a product on there today, so I was on there buying and trying to get some trading done in between some work I had to do and stuff, just having some fun. It's really kind of a fun thing. So I've gotten into the hockey stuff, and this exclusive contracts battle, both at the league level and at the player level, has gotten really, really interesting between Leaf Cards and Upper Deck. Two companies, and the people who work there, no strangers to each other. Brian Gray knows a lot about Upper Deck. He knows where some of the bodies are buried there. Brian Gray was very close to Richard McWilliam, the founder of Upper Deck, who passed away. Brian Gray is very, very, very in tune to what's going on over there, and certainly the market. He's been around for a long time. Like him or hate him, he's been around a long time and knows the market very, very well. They are really battling it out for some of the best, not only young hockey talents, but also some of these, Leaf probably isn't a player for the NHL exclusive, but they have a CHL exclusive that Gray admitted that he just lost to Upper Deck. There's an AHL hockey league. There's some of these other little kind of contracts in the hockey world that they're even behind the scenes battling it out over. The really interesting thing is that I got tipped off actually by Brian Gray himself that he has sent some emails to Upper Deck Brash over the course of the last couple of years to try to quell and try to put an end to some of these exclusive licenses. And you could take Brian Gray's intentions for what they're worth. Maybe he's sending these emails and really has no intention of following through on some kind of truce with the exclusives. But they are interesting, they are relevant, and certainly worth talking about. But because it is hockey, I feel like I got to catch a couple of people up and get you abreast of the situation. Upper Deck's had the exclusive hockey card license for a couple years here, and Leaf has been more of a minor player in the hockey card game. They bought out in the game and make a few sets a year with that. Kind of caters to more of a niche audience there. But here's the timeline of how this has heated up and why there's even been some email exchanges between Gray and Upper Deck themselves. It really started in around 2015, right before the draft. Upper Deck signed an exclusive autograph trading card deal with Connor McDavid, the presumed or obvious number one pick. Superstar LeBron James-esque kind of hype and anticipation for this kid. Huge anticipation, as huge as it's going to get in terms of hockey and the sports card world. This kid was, surefire the thing. So just for perspective there. And, by the way, his one of his unautographed rookie cards I've talked about on this show is still trading for $350. Again, unautographed, unserial numbered rookie card. There's probably well over 10,000 copies of those suckers floating around. So Upper Deck signs this kid to an exclusive, Connor McDavid, in June of 2015. They make that announcement. This is when the war started, because very shortly after, in August of 2015, Leaf announced that they had signed number 2 pick Jack Eichel, who in his own right would have been a number 1 pick, highly touted, lots of hype. He's a very, very good player. But again, him and McDavid were in the same draft, and so McDavid's going to get a lot of the coverage and obviously is going to go number 1. But Leaf counters by signing Eichel to an autograph exclusive, meaning none of Jack Eichel's autographs could be in any Upper Deck products, which is really interesting. That probably put a little crimp into the Upper Deck's plans for the season. So shortly after it announced in August 2015 that Leaf had signed Eichel, according to Leaf owner Brian Gray, he sends a letter to Upper Deck president, and hopefully I'm going to butcher his name, Jason Mezzariah, and Mike Phillips, vice president of hobby sales. So he sends an email to the president of Upper Deck, who I've met, and I apologize for butchering his name, and Mike Phillips, who's the vice president of hobby sales. So two guys super high up, make a lot of decisions there. This email was dated August 19th, 2015 to Jason and Michael Phillips. Guys, this is Brian Gray. Guys, I'm reaching out as I believe for the good of our category, hockey, a discussion is warranted as we head into the 2015-16 season. I believe this discussion is time sensitive, and I would like to see if we can set up a call between our companies to discuss the market and specific player opportunities. Let me know. I almost see that as like an olive branch, like, hey, I just signed Eichel, but I'll lease him out to you. So, which he's done before with Damian Lillard in the past with basketball. So Brian Gray's not opposed to actually probably working with Upper Deck there, and would have maybe even been. I actually, honestly, truthfully believe he might have been even willing to let Eichel sign in some Upper Deck products for the right price, of course. So things calmed down, actually. After the email, he gets no response. Upper Deck, obviously they're not going to email him back. It's crickets, and things kind of calmed down for a while because this is one of the greatest hockey card seasons of all time, to be perfectly honest, probably, or at least in recent history. Certainly, past the mass-produced era, this is one of the greatest hockey card seasons of all time. Upper Deck implemented EPAC. They sold, tens of thousands of boxes on there, made a bunch of money. Leaf probably made a bunch of money selling Eichel stuff and other hockey stuff. Both of them, at the end of the year, probably counting money. Probably had, at least in the last 5 years or so, had to have one of their best hockey years of all time. So things kind of calmed down. They're all counting money, having a good time. So in February 2016, here about a year later after these two McDavid and Eichel exclusives go down, and the first Brian Gray letter, they're at the Industry Summit in Hawaii. So this was last year. And Gray, again, he actually goes up personally, he says, to the president of Upper Deck, Jason Mezzariah, Mike Phillips, and also Chris Carlin, who's the Upper Deck senior marketing manager. He goes to them in Hawaii to once again try to broker a truce. And, he specifically recalls pledging to them, I told them I was done signing exclusives if they would stop. That was his quote to them at the Hawaii Summit in February 2016. And so the following day, after he had a little meeting there, or a little run-in there with the three people from Upper Deck, he sends him another email. He again sends Jason and Mike Phillips an email. And this was dated February 22nd, 2016. Guys, appreciate the time last night. While we do not agree on the Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel situation, how it went down, and certain entitlements we each feel, we have the ability to make collectors happy and show them that we collectively care about what they want. Exclusives are the devil. We hate them. They are bad for business. Once again, I would urge you to come to the table and make a formal agreement to no exclusives for the 2016-2017 NHL hockey card season. I believe our mutual Canadian customers would embrace this, and I think it would send a loud message to the hobby in general that the companies care and are willing to put aside their issues to do what is best for the hobby and collectors. I fully expect you to reject this olive branch, or even possibly hit me with it. But I feel compelled to invite you back to the table in an effort not to fracture the hockey category and avoid unnecessary conflict, which will hurt both of our companies and likely our customers as well. I appreciate the consideration. We have a lot of water under the bridge together. Despite the comments last night that I am not trustworthy, I believe I have shown incredible respect and confidentiality for our previous relationship and all the quote stuff that came with that. That is a loaded paragraph. He continues, please let me know if you desire to pursue this positive direction of coexistence, or if you would rather continue down the road we are both traveling at present. I am available to discuss further anytime you wish. Period. Brian. That is just one of the all-time great hobby emails. So I have some thoughts on that, but I'm going to let that simmer because we're not done. The Upper Deck and Leaf are not done trading blows with each other. So just a few months after this, Leaf announces that they've signed an exclusive autograph card deal with Noland Patrick. Although Brian Gray later claims that the deal was in place around the time the Eichel exclusive was inked. Patrick at the time was in the CHL, so I guess I could see that he had a CHL exclusive with them, or an autograph exclusive that was back that covered the CHL, but they didn't announce the NHL exclusive. I could not find anything that noted this prior arrangement. So on my timeline from an article that I'm going to post on Sports Card Radio, I have this happening shortly after this letter that Leaf announces another exclusive with a top kind of overall pick. In November, Upper Deck announces the signing of Austin Matthews, although this had probably been in place for many months. Austin Matthews to an autograph exclusive. This kid, has as much. The only person with more hype in the last few years besides Austin Matthews is Connor McDavid. This kid's unserial numbered, mass-produced young gun rookie card is worth $150 minimum, about 100 and quarter, 150. Haven't looked lately, but it's up there. I pulled one. So Upper Deck signs him to an autograph exclusive. And this kid blows up. I think he scored 4 goals in his first game. One of his first games. So, obviously his stuff goes electric from day freaking one. In January of this year, Upper Deck signed Patrick Raw, famous goalie, butchering these hockey guys' names, to a trading card and autograph exclusive. And this really chapped the ass of Leaf because they had used Roy from many years in the ITG line, really from day one. Gray claims that Patrick Roy has been like a staple for them. So, Leaf counters, May of 2017. Leaf signs NHL draft prospect, another name I'm going to butcher, Nico Hischier, to a multi-year exclusive autograph. This kid, never seen him, wouldn't recognize him if he walked by me on the street, but he's supposed to be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the upcoming NHL draft. So Brian Gray posted a lot of this information on the Hobby Insider, really primarily a hockey forum. The reason why I'm talking about it is because you actually have to be a member of the forum, and you can't be a non-member and see any of what is written on there, any of the public postings. And Collector had posted about the Nico exclusive signing, which just happened a couple weeks ago, and there was some discussion about that, and former employee of Upper Deck who currently works at Leaf jumped in there, really sharp guy, Greg Cohn, and then also Brian Gray as well posted the emails that he had sent to Upper Deck. And in the thread, which is quite lengthy over in Hobby Insider, if you're a member, you could check it out. If you're not, you would actually have to register and wait probably a couple days until they approve you. It's not an instant approval process. In addition to the emails that he posted, Gray also noted that Upper Deck had outbid Leaf for the Canadian Hockey League license, which is probably up this year, and Upper Deck will take that over, and made a couple interesting comments about Topps re-entering the hockey card market when the NHL exclusive that they presently have comes up, and that Topps might want to jump back into the NHL market, which they haven't been in probably since the 90s, so or actually maybe early 2000s. That would be really, really interesting. You know what this reminds me of? This is just on a slightly bigger scale. This kind of just reminds me of the, two eBay sellers who have the same inventory kind of teaming up. Brian Gray is driving up the cost of, Upper Deck's hockey card products, and consequently Upper Deck is also driving up the cost of Leaf card products. If they're both going after these players, in some sense they could almost team up and downplay the impact that Connor McDavid is going to have on the NHL hockey card market. If it wasn't for Connor McDavid, I probably wouldn't care about hockey cards. So you could see what an impact this guy had, and the amount of interest and dollars that somebody as hyped as Connor McDavid is. But in theory, there's only a few people that know this, and maybe the agent could think that this would happen, but even the agent is caught up in so many different things. And of course, McDavid himself, he has an idea what he's worth, but I guarantee McDavid has no real sense of the hockey card market and really the intertwines of it. But Brian Gray does, and certainly the people at Upper Deck do. And they could have, in theory, teamed up and kind of lowballed McDavid and said, hey, we'll give you, I don't know what McDavid ended up signing for per card or what his exclusive is with Upper Deck, but they could have, in theory, really lowballed him for a much lower number than what Upper Deck ultimately signed him for and shared him. So in some sense, I do see the, Brian Gray's point that, we could be friends, we could team up. But on the other hand, I can see the point of Upper Deck being like, we paid all this money for an exclusive, and we're paying these guarantees, and this, that, and the other thing. We're taking all this risk. If the NHL kicks us out the door in a couple years, what do we have? We have nothing. Maybe we're a bankrupt company. So I could see every reason for Upper Deck wanting to stiff arm, minor competition or any kind of lower level competition coming up through the ranks, and not even really acknowledging these guys as is even a competitor, because it's certainly no matter Brian Gray's ambition, he's a much smaller player in the hockey card game, but Upper Deck may not even want to admit him as a competitor. But I almost see this as kind of, two eBay sellers that have the same items. I could see this as, from a ticket scalper's example, a fellow ticket scalper emailing me and be like, hey, we both, you have a lot of ticket inventory, I have a lot of inventory. We're going to be kind of controlling, 70% of this thing down the stretch. Why don't we just keep it high? You sell yours. You let me know how many you have left. I'll text you how many I have left, and we'll just kind of trade back. I would do that deal with somebody that I trusted, or somebody that I probably at least talked to on the phone, or met, or vetted at least in some ways. I could see that benefiting. I could also see it from an Amazon seller. I sold over 300 boxes last month on Amazon. I could see it from benefiting me if a seller came to me and said, hey, we have I got 200 of these boxes too. You probably got, 200-300 of them too. What if we just traded back and forth, or we kept the kind of price kind of high, but 1 week I ran a sale, next week you just take over, and it can all be automated actually through the Amazon system when you place these sales and stuff, and you literally could click back and forth of a certain price, and it wouldn't be a race to the bottom situation maybe that you see on eBay or Check Out My Cards or some of the other instances of cards. But to me, this is almost what this is like, this battle between Upper Deck and Leaf. They're both driving their cost up. They're both kind of costing each other money in a sense. And in some sense, Brian Gray might be, his quote-unquote olive branch that he's, reaching out to Upper Deck with, is to kind of be like, hey, why don't we just team up and screw these guys? These guys really don't know what they're worth. They don't really know what they're worth to these hockey card in the hockey card realm and what it would mean to business. Why don't we just kind of lowball these guys, both use them? I'm only going to make so many cents anyways. You're going to be off doing the license thing, doing your thing. Why don't we team up? I can certainly see it from his side, and I can certainly see it from Upper Deck's side, where you wouldn't even want to look at this guy and wouldn't even want to deal with him whatsoever. So this is definitely a battle that will continue on into the future, and has been in the works for a couple years now, and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Jumping topics, let's talk about Panini America, and just what a disaster they continue to be, and what a real shame, because the sports card world right now, I think, is thriving. I sold over 300 boxes on Amazon this month. Sports card boxes. It's astonishing. Stuff flies out the door. We're seeing Topps have success with their baseball products. They're selling above wholesale sale. If you just bought some Topps boxes and then resold them right now, you actually probably could come out ahead after all the fees. Look at Topps Pro Debut. Those boxes are $50 each. They're selling for over $100 because of some SP Tim Tebow card. That's just one of a litany of products this year that Topps has had success with. Probably going to see how... hopefully I won't regret saying this because I'm horrible at predicting national attendance, but I bet we see one of the most well-attended nationals in a long time. And that's a smaller venue. That place is going to be jam-packed Friday, Saturday. For sure. Guaranteed. The Cubs winning, and if it's good weather, which can be hit or miss in the Midwest in the summer, but if it's just decent weather, that place is going to be jumping Friday or Saturday. Sports card market is doing pretty well. Connor McDavid, unserial numbered, mass-produced rookie card, over 10,000 copies available, sells between $350 and $500, ungraded, raw. It's astonishing stuff that's coming out of the card market. Guys should be doing pretty well. Leafs doing pretty well. They have a dozen employees. Upper Deck just moved into brand new headquarters. Golf clap to them. Coming back from the dead practically. Check Out My Cards has over 100 employees. Can you believe that? It's astonishing. Every PSA conference call, they're doing more and more business each month grading cards. Beckett is having to push service times back and make their customers angry because they've getting so many cards right now to be graded, and they don't have enough people to grade them. They're trying to hire people. And then you have Panini America over here with all this money from Europe, NBA exclusive, NFL exclusive, a bunch of college licenses, soccer. And they can't really seem to tap into anything aside from the group breaker market and some of the hardcore guys, or some of the obvious sales that you're going to get by just being the exclusive maker of cards in some kind of sports. I mean, if I was the exclusive maker of cards in any sport, I'd sell something. I mean, you'd sell something. This shows you how bad Panini is doing. Maybe some people are familiar with Topps Now, instant kind of card service. Topps does every day during the baseball season, and they do it with a couple of different other sports, but mainly it's baseball. Every day during the year, practically every day. If something big happens, somebody hits a walk-off home run, big milestone, anything that happens, there's a Topps Now card. And every day they can, some of these base cards have, print runs in the, about 175 to 200 range. And it's pretty typical, especially nowadays, for kind of a common guy or just kind of a common event for those to be in that range. But several times a week, certainly with the Aaron Judge hype and any kind of big rookie or big moment, Topps can definitely crank out over 1,000 cards sold of a particular guy. And most people probably know that, the copycats that Panini is, they have something very similar that they've called Panini Instant. And during the NFL draft, which Panini is obviously an exclusive maker of football cards, they were making Panini Instant cards of the guys when they got drafted, and they came across the stage in their suit, and they were holding up their jersey that the NFL makes right away, right when they get picked. They slap the guy's name on a jersey, boom, he's up there, and it all kind of happens in a real quick process. And there's tons of photographers that are getting pictures of these guys holding up a hat and a jersey, and we've all seen these photos. And so Panini, which is a good idea, make these Panini Instant cards and sells them. So good idea, right? Maybe if they look good, or if a certain player, if it was your team, maybe you'd want to buy one, right? And so Deshaun Watson, I think he was the second quarterback picked by the Houston Texans. He goes number 12 overall, I believe. Goes in the first round. And Deshaun Watson is a national champion college quarterback from last year. This guy has a lot of fans. If you are the starting quarterback for a national championship college football team, that's living right there. That at a huge school, most of the time huge schools win these football national championships. But going to Clemson in the South, winning a national championship, this guy has a lot of fans, and obviously he's talented. So he went high in the NFL draft, and Panini paid him to tweet on draft day, quote, "Thank you, at Houston Texans." This is Deshaun Watson's tweet. "Thank you, at Houston Texans. Blessed and ready to get to work. Loving this hashtag NFL draft, hashtag Panini Instant card. Go get." And then a link to go buy this card from Panini, similar to how Topps Now works. And this tweet, it had to have been one of the most retweeted, viewed tweets of the day, besides something Donald Trump or some other person in the political media. Had to have been. This thing got over about 9,000 retweets, 22,000 likes. He tweeted this just after he had gotten picked. So, he's being talked about. And he tweets this, "Hey, go buy this card." And this thing goes straight viral. He's a national champion quarterback. Who wouldn't want his card? I kind of want his card. Here's the thing that's going to astonish you. Panini releases the print run for these, and 9,000 retweets, 22,000 likes. One of the top quarterbacks picked in the recent NFL draft. Tweeted on draft day. Had to have been one of the most retweeted tweets of the day that wasn't political. That didn't have anything to do with politics. And Panini sold 184 cards. Mind you, they paid Deshaun Watson to tweet that. And I don't know. I think they got their, actually, for how much they paid him, boy, they probably got a ton of clicks on their website. But they only sold 184 cards. There was one dealer on eBay that had over 30 of them. So I could see if you're a smart person, yeah, you bought these and you flipped them. Because they're probably selling for about 30, 40 bucks. Buy them for $5, $10 and resell them. It's one thing to get clicks and attention and retweets and all this kind of stuff, and you feel the endorphins kick in when you're getting that attention, maybe on social media, or you're looking at your analytics stats or something, and you're getting all this traffic coming in. How is that traffic converting? To have a tweet go straight viral to where the player himself is to say, go buy this, and only 184 sold? His grandma should have bought 184. I sold 300 boxes on Amazon last month. I'm actually considering calling Deshaun Watson and seeing if maybe he'll tweet, go buy my NFL products here, and tweet a link to Amazon. I bet I sell more than 184. I'll tell you what went wrong from Panini here. Their website is atrocious. You could have the best exclusive, the best player, the most retweets. If your website looks like you're walking in to a train wreck aisle at Walmart, nobody is going to buy. If your website is even somewhat presentable, Topps, their website, their presentability, I would describe as average. They get sales. They sell 200 of the no-name baseball player who hits a walk-off pinch hit single in the 10th. They'll sell 200 copies of those. Dang near every day. Nothing I don't think has fallen below 150 copies. Panini gets 9,000 retweets, 20,000 likes. Maybe arguably the most popular player in the entire football draft. Guy won a national championship and will be beloved the rest of his life. And I don't blame him. If Panini had a better website, better looking website, presented it better, sold it better, I don't like black backgrounds, period. And I definitely don't like them on an e-commerce style website unless you make that look really good. So I get rid of the black background. Personally, I think the best looking e-commerce site, and again, this is all kind of very subjective because one person could think one website it functions well and another person could think it looks like crap and doesn't function well. Personally, my own personal assessment as someone who's had to build a lot of websites, and most of mine look like crap, but then again, I'm not asking for your money. Personally, I think the best looking hobby e-commerce site is DA Card World. And it really goes downhill very quickly from there. So if I were Panini, I would literally call DA Card World. Looks like a WordPress skin or something. I'm sure it's very simple. It wouldn't cost that much, especially with the money Panini's throwing around. How much money they lost by not having a quality website. I sold 300 boxes on Amazon. There's no reason why they don't get 30,000 retweets and likes from one of the top players and they can't sell more than 184 cards. They probably didn't even have 100 orders. One card dealer had 30 of them. They probably didn't even have 100 orders. Somebody should be fired. Somebody should lose their job over that. The person managing the e-commerce website. You can't just go to your boss and be like, look at all this traffic we bought. We paid Deshaun Watson $500 for this tweet, and we got 20,000 people to the website. I'd look at them, I'd be like, you got 100 orders at $5 a card. We just paid Deshaun Watson $500. How are these guys making money? I don't understand it. Every person that I talk to in this industry, I ask them one question all the time. Do you think Panini makes money? All of them scratch their head. All of them are baffled. All of them say they overpaid for all the exclusives. When will this train wreck end? Right now it's a disaster and it's a shame. Because we're seeing other areas of the hobby thriving. I'm thriving. I sold 300 things on Amazon last month. I couldn't believe it. Shocking. eBay sucks. eBay is the past. Panini is playing in the past. They need to get into the future. And one step is having a good quality e-commerce site so that when Deshaun Watson sends you 15,000 prospective buyers, you can convert more than a few hundred of them. Disgusting. Topps now can sell. The 25th man on the roster hits a walk-off single in the 11th, and there's 3,000 people in the stands, and they can sell 200 cards the next day. And Panini can't do it better than this? It's a shame. It's really a shame. They should be helping push the industry forward. They should be a shining light. They should be doing well. Instead, it's just an absolute train wreck. They could have got fanboy bloggers to sell more cards than that. They could have just gave some bloggers some cards and they would have fell all over themselves tweeting links and bought cards themselves and told all their friends. Would have sold more than 184 of them. Wow, these guys are dumb. Tracy Hackler should be fired. The Jason Horowitz should be fired. The CEO should have been fired after the Flawless debacle. The whole thing should be cleared out. They do a pretty good job reaching these group breakers and patting them on the back and doing the VIP parties and kind of stroking people off when they need to, and stroking the distributors, stroking some of the key dealers. They do a good job at that. At some point, you got to make money. You got to make money. Your apps are a disaster. Another sore black eye on that franchise over there at Panini. And they get 9,000 retweets and 20,000 likes on a tweet with an NFL player telling them to go buy a card on NFL draft day. One of the most engaged tweets, I guarantee you, of the day that wasn't political. And they only sell 184 cards? That's a complete joke. Again, I sold 300 boxes on Amazon. Panini, call me if you need some help. I got some help actually on findacardshow.com. The person I hired, I had her do a bunch of updating on it. As far as just updating all the dates and getting it kind of all squared away. And then what I had to do was actually make it so that if you came on a desktop or mobile that you got the same view. So I put everything kind of on one homepage and put things into tabs so that when you go to it, you see all 50 states, and then you click on the state and a drop down happens and all the shows kind of get listed from there. So kind of a nothing burger website. It doesn't it would never get enough traffic to where I could ever make any money or charge any kind of advertising on it or something. But it really, the bottom line, it only takes about 2 or 3 weeks of pretty hard work updating all about 250 shows, and then you're done. So the money I do make on it, it kind of does pay for that 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of work and minor updating that needs to happen. So that's kind of why I keep that site alive. And I am pleased with how it looks on a phone and on a desktop, which is hard these days to get that view at least acceptable on both. And so check it out if you're looking for a show. Actually, better yet, if you know of a show that I don't have, you need to send me that information. Send me pictures. If you're at shows, send me pictures. Send me a review of the show, sportscardshow@gmail.com. However you want to get a hold of me, please do that. Facebook, Sports Card Radio. Twitter, you could also sports card news on Twitter. So definitely check that out. While I was actually kind of digging around for some card show stuff myself and kind of cleaning up the website, I noticed this card shop. I can't remember where it was. I should have actually figured it out and pulled it up, but it was like 4 dealers kind of in one. They all kind of teamed up, kind of like almost like a co-op space, and it was somewhere in the Midwest, and they had this kind of mid-sized to larger scale shop, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And it got me thinking that you could almost do like a live check out my cards thing where or a live Probstein 123. Just have a consignment place where maybe not only did you sell online, but you also had a show floor of stuff that wasn't even your own inventory. And maybe you did that with boxes of cards too. That would be a real interesting business model, kind of to take the risk off the inventory. And that is a huge kind of risk and hurdle when you're getting into a sports card game, because we all love to come into those shops that are like really filled. There's actually one in downtown San Diego that's too filled. That's like 6,000 square feet, and you can only literally access about 50 square feet. It's like the hoarder's heaven. I mean, this guy's got stuff packed to the ceiling. We don't want to really, we maybe want something a little less than that. We'd like to actually be able to walk and actually see the inventory. But, we love to come into a shop that's all full. Well, all that stuff costs money. And that's, that's hard to juggle some months. Some months, you're stuck all this. You've made all this investment in inventory, and you're having to keep rebuy to kind of get fresh stuff in the store. One way to do that is, for the stuff not to be yours, and you're just taking a percentage of it, and you're just managing that business. You're just taking inventory in. You're figuring out, what percentage to take, how to market yourself, how to probably cross-list stuff, not only on eBay and kind of some of the e-commerce platforms, maybe even your own website, but also in your store as well. You're going to want a really good insurance plan. You're probably going to want to talk to somebody about that as well. Don't just jump into that, because if something got stolen, your store got broken into, your store got burnt down, you would need a really good insurance plan that knew you were consigning items and you were going to be paying out all this money to all these different people. You'd want, when the people gave you items and consigned you items, there's going to be some long paperwork. You're going to want their John Hancock and a date. And it's going to want to spell out that you have as little liability as possible. That would be my best advice. But again, this is all stuff you want to seek out at a professional level. Please do not take my advice, but just some things that if I were to do it, I never would, but or I wouldn't do it anytime in the next few years. Although we'll talk about the Ticketmaster thing later. Maybe this is my next thing, but it's not something I would do, but just some of the things that are kicking around in my head. So I thought that was interesting. It was a card shop that was essentially 4 different dealers, and they all had different inventories. I think they even spelled it out. One guy had, vintage stuff. Another guy had, newer stuff. So thought that was really cool. If I ever figure out who that was, what dealer that was, and where that was, I'll shout that out for sure. So a couple of things, if you've ever been the victim of, buying something fake or, concerned about stuff, you don't have to feel so bad. It happens in the art and the wine market too. I just saw something on Vice, a bunch of Andy Warhols that you could literally like recreate an Andy Warhol print that sells for like buku tens of millions. I mean, we're talking like Honus Wagner T206 times 10 and stuff. And you could literally, if you had the right stuff, could reprint this stuff and make it look authentic. And people have been duped. There's a documentary on Netflix about the wine market and fake wine and stuff. So just thought I'd throw that out there. A couple of things that I'd seen recently about authenticity and stuff. 2 cents about Lavar Ball and the Ball family. You know what? I think people criticizing this guy haven't ever really watched a full 20, 30-minute interview of the guy. Obviously, I have been avoiding college basketball as much as possible this year because I did not want to fall in love with a Fultz or a Ball or somebody like that and the Lakers lose their pick. I would have literally been crushed. The most nervous I've been the last couple years watching sports since the Game 7 of the Giants, the 2014 series, That was like, nerve-wracking stuff. Really haven't been nervous watching sports except on the days of the NBA draft lottery when the Lakers could have lost their pick the last 2 years if it wasn't in the top 3. I'm literally sitting in my house biting my nails off. And then trust me, when we get this pick the last couple years, I have jumped up and down, hooting and hollering. It is a very exciting moment. One of the rare times that I've actually gotten excited about sports in the last few years. So those are exciting moments, but I didn't want to watch too much of this college basketball because I don't want to fall in love with a guy and love a guy. Oh, look at his game. And the Lakers would lose the pick, and I would be so disappointed watching this guy come up in the pros, and he could have been a Laker, but we traded for Steve Nash a few years ago and gave up a couple first-round picks. But I watched one UCLA game in the tournament because I've been hearing about this kid Ball, and I kind of, they look like the other kid Fultz is going to go number 1, and I didn't think we'd get up to number 1 pick, but I thought maybe we'd have 2 or 3, and, I was like, I got to see this kid Ball, Lonzo Ball play. And he definitely had one of probably his best game of the tournament. What I saw was Jason Kidd with a better jump shot and somebody that may never win an MVP award, but somebody that would instantly make every single team in the NBA better at 20 years of age, let alone what he could be at 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Could he have, maybe he's not the MVP caliber player, but gosh, he had that just pass first instinct that you rarely see in the game. And trust me, I've coached 8th graders who I would almost have to run out of the court and beg them to pass the ball to somebody wide open standing out of the hoop. And they're, trying to juke somebody and take a step back 3. This kid has a rare ability, pass first ability. Maybe he's not the most super athletic guy in the world, but he is a legit 6'6", 6'7", kind of Sean Livingston-esque build. I've heard some knocks about the form and his jump shot. Reggie Miller had a broken form. The guy I coach with is 6'10" and puts the wrong foot in front of him, but this guy's lights out from pretty much anywhere on the court. I mean, it doesn't really matter what your form is as long as you are able to repeat it over and over, and kind of when you get to that peak, when you get to the moment when the shot, I just want to see when the ball is releasing, what does that look like? And, I think eventually he straightens it up and it gets there. This kid is going to do fine in the league. Now, his father certainly loves the spotlight too. Probably is living a little vicariously through his son. I remember some other kind of brash, famous fathers. Earl Williams, the famous Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, world-class tennis players, ended up living up to all the hype that way back in the day. We heard about these Williams sisters, that the father was proud and loud to tell you how good they were going to be. We heard this from Tiger Woods' father, almost like kind of envisioning this happening. And the same thing with this guy, Lavar Ball. He says he's envisioned, his son growing up and playing with the Lakers. And he actually has 2 other sons. One, now, he'll say different, but one probably will struggle to make the league. I think the one going into UCLA next year he probably should actually not be one and done, because unless he gets a million times better, he's going to be more of a late first, second round, or not even make the league. But he has another son who is younger, but could easily be a top 5 or just better than Lonzo, who looks like is a sure bet to end up on the Lakers. But Lavar Ball loves to talk about his family, and there was one interviewer, I think it was on the Colin Cowherd show, some woman that she did an excellent job kind of hitting him with some things, and he made some comments that you could take one way or the other, and definitely not something I would say, but it wasn't, anything worse than we've heard from the president. I know that's maybe a little low bar there, but I watched interview after interview. This is what I'm saying. I watched interview after interview with Lavar Ball, and I really didn't find a problem with anything that he said. And now maybe you have you can talk about the business decision about starting this kind of shoe company with his sons and, not signing with Nike. Hey, if anybody wants to give the middle finger to Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, multi-gazillion billion-dollar companies, I could care less. I don't care if he doesn't want to be friends with Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. This guy's done it his whole life. He kind of runs a ragtag little AAU circuit in California and Vegas. He didn't take his sons all over the U.S. like he could have. Parents have lived together. He didn't take his sons to some private basketball high school. They went to the public Chino Hills High School and put it on the map from, basically these sons being unbelievable at basketball. One's going to be a number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, imagine if you went to a high school and there was a kid who was picked number 2 in the NBA draft. I mean, that kid would just be insane. Then he has 2 brothers who are legit as F too. I think it's a really interesting story. I encourage you, if you're like, oh, I hate Lonzo, I hate Lavar Ball, or he's a jerk, go listen to a 30-minute interview. The ones he's done with Skip Bayless or any of these people. Aside from some journalists doing a really good job hitting him, and Lavar could do a little better job with his preparation, but these journalists do a good job hitting him because they want sound bites, they want clicks. They want the 1-minute soundbite that everybody hears of Lavar going off or saying something kind of off color that he was kind of prodded into saying, but it really isn't. It really isn't stuff that's that bad. The fact that he said something about he doesn't want to make a brand for women. Well, who cares? Who cares? You think Panini America's making stuff for women? You know what I mean? I mean, you think Victoria's Secret's making anything for men? No, and they both do just fine. There's nothing wrong with that, to cater to, I've been to men's only kind of salons and barbers, and they have, alcohol, and it's, $40 haircut, and they'll wax your hands and all this kind of stuff. It's a great experience. You guys should try it out sometime. Nothing wrong with having a business that caters to one sex or the other, and freely admitting it. There's nothing wrong with that. So I encourage you to listen to Ball's interview. And again, you can question the business decision, but if the kid goes number 2 to the Lakers and he plays like he plays like Jason Kidd, plays like Magic Johnson. This guy's going to make everybody better on the Lakers. Again, Lonzo may never win MVP. He may average 15, 5 rebounds, 8, 9 assists. He's going to make D'Angelo Russell better. He's going to make Brandon Ingram better. They're going to need to get some shooting because this kid's going to find you. He's going to find you open in the corner. He's big enough to get inside. He's tall enough to see over the top of the defense. He's like 6'7" or something. He's going to fill out a little bit. Lonzo Ball is going to be a very, very important player. Is he Russell Westbrook? Is he James Harden? Is he an MVP kind of caliber player? No, probably not. But he could be the MVP of the team. And that's what we need right now. We need that kind of leadership, that person that has that mentality. That extra pass mentality, that old school Laker triangle, pass the ball around. The Lakers were really underrated. When they were playing their best basketball back when they were winning titles, they moved the ball really well. Those Shaq and Kobe era teams, go watch some of those games that they were winning and playing well. Moving the ball, unbelievable, at a Spurs-like level. Just cutting people up, carving it up. Rick Fox slashing the basket, buckets. Robert Horry out in the corner for a 3. Brian Shaw out in the corner for a 3. These are not guys who win an MVP. They had 2 all-time legends. The Lakers are probably going to have to get a guy or 2 that is at maybe not that caliber, but close. And hopefully they do. So, I encourage, again, go listen to some of this guy's interviews. He's not that bad. Not that bad at all. Does he like the attention? Is he trying to draw some attention to himself and his sons? Sure. This is his time. He's been waiting his whole life for this. If you do a little research, if you listen to him talk, he's kind of been waiting his whole life for this moment. For one of his sons to be on the precipice of being a top pick for the Lakers. So I've seen it. I've seen this happen with Serena Williams and Venus Williams' father, who correctly predicted that these two would turn out to be freaking all-time legends. I mean, Serena Williams is like, I think by far the greatest women's tennis player of all time. Has to be. She practically wins everything. Earl Woods correctly predicted that Tiger Woods is dang near in the discussion, regardless of what happened the other night with him with the pills. And I hope he gets better. That's actually a very serious, not really a laughing matter, especially with the pills. That's a scary thing because that's very addictive. Obviously, you don't want to be driving if you're drinking or pills or smoking weed or anything like that. So that's why I got the Lyft and the Uber on my phone. I mean, Tiger Woods could have bought, somebody a car to go drive him anywhere. So really poor judgment there. But his father envisioned what a great golfer he was and is, and what happened in his career. Regardless of he's fallen off certainly the last few years, he's still one of the top 2 or 3 greatest golfers of all freaking time. All freaking time. So I've seen this happen before with brash, loud fathers correctly predicting, the rise of their sons. And the one time I seen this kid play, I saw Jason Kidd with a better jump shot, and I have been praying that I've been willing it, like Lavar Ball, I've been willing to get this kid on the Lakers. Ticket brokers, and especially NFL guys like myself, were, very glued to the news coming out of Sports Business Journal about the potentially NFL moving away from an exclusive with Ticketmaster. They want to, quote, open up the ticket market. They want you to be able to be watching highlights on Twitter and buy a ticket, or potentially on Amazon, which looks like something that's actually coming anyways with Ticketmaster, with a deal with them. They want you to be able to buy tickets in more locations. They want to get some money from StubHub, I'm sure, and potentially some of these other resale sites. They potentially will still have Ticketmaster serve as, they call it, the primary. So when you buy tickets like a season tickets, you would still get a Ticketmaster account, and it would dump your tickets into there. Now from there, for me, from what you do from that point is very, very crucial. And they don't really talk about a lot of these articles. They talk about more from the league side and from the buyer side, the ticket buyer side. Whereas the detail for me is when season ticket holders have their tickets, what button are they pushing to sell? And that'll be a very, very crucial thing that'll probably be get uncovered in the next probably 6 to 8 months. Again, it's not for this upcoming season. It's for the season after. This year coming up is still a Ticketmaster exclusive. Now, most people probably don't know that. If you buy NFL tickets or you don't really care, you probably have no idea the exclusives and how this works and price floors and blah, 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 blah. And that's all well and good, but this was something that I was reading word for word on this article and will be keeping track of pretty closely. But it could really go either way. I could see it to where I make more money than I do now, and with just a couple little tweaks, I could see to where it's a little game changer, and it'll literally be like I lost my job, essentially, in terms of like a paycheck perspective and the income that I'm making. It would literally be like if I had lost my job. So we don't really know. Certainly not something I'll lose sleep over with it being over a year away. But certainly something you closely monitor. It'll change my perspective a little bit going into this year. I'll definitely be, I will be debt free. I'm going to clear like all my debts. Whereas this year I invested more money, which actually turned out to be a really good idea because the stock market went up quite a bit since Trump became president. I invested a lot of my profits about a month before the election, into kind of the markets and some bond stuff, but also some stock market stuff too. So all that stuff has really gone up a lot, especially the stock market stuff. So this year I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pay off any kind of debt I have. Don't have any kind of debt from buying tickets or anything going really past December or January, so that I just basically have hopefully a big pile of cash from all the sales and the money I made to pay some taxes and to live off of, but also have no debt and have no, aside from just my very modest personal bills, I won't have any kind of business debt or debt associated with the tickets, because again, if this is a game killer and the exclusive really hurts me from a business perspective, I certainly don't want to be carrying around any kind of debt. So just something from a business, if you go out on your own and you're doing stuff, even if you start a card shop, you sell online, you kind of want to be an entrepreneur. These are things you always have to definitely plan ahead. When the going's good, save money, put money away, live as modestly as you can, because you never know around the bend. And this was something I had actually been anticipating. I've been telling my friends about this. Oh, wait until the exclusive goes away, or wait until the StubHub gets the exclusive and my business is done. And I might even have mentioned on this show how I've been literally waiting for this announcement about what is going to happen with the tickets the following year. And so we're starting to get a little bit of indication. Now, they could have floated some things to the media to up the pressure on Ticketmaster to raise their bid, or up the pressure on StubHub to get a bid, but we'll see what happens. It could be actually something really, really good. So I don't want to bore anybody, and I won't get into all the details. There are going to be some very crucial details that will basically make or break whether or not I continue to make quite a bit of money selling tickets. It's pretty much all I do from when the NFL season starts to when the weather starts to get bad and teams start to fall out of it, or the teams I'm selling kind of fall out of it. So, week 12, week 13 there, or really more kind of into December. So something I do almost dang near every day, full time, full bore, all day, every day. So we'll see what happens. And certainly news to ponder if you're a ticket broker, or if you're interested in that any kind of way. Certainly could interesting. Again, they're trying to open it up so that, and I hope they actually make it uniform so that every ticketing works the same. So if I buy Chiefs tickets or buy Niner tickets, I can get in on my phone. It's working the exact same way. They're talking about, making it so that you can easily transfer tickets and they're authentic. Right now, you're printing a PDF and maybe you're buying a PDF file off of StubHub or wherever, and you're having to print it out and take it. All this should be mobile and on the phone, and it should be freely accessible. We'll see. We'll see what the NFL wants to do. They got over, they made, they had a pretty big deal with Ticketmaster. That was a pretty lucrative deal for them. Each team was making about like $5 to $10 million off that deal per year by just having Ticketmaster be the primary and the exclusive. But I think they see how much money StubHub makes and how much money some of these other sites make, and they want to get a piece of it, like the NFL. They just want to get a little piece of all that money. So really interesting. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if we still have a job next year. But hopefully you guys still have a job, making a lot of money, and we'll see you guys later.